So I made my own notes around this, and we're going to play with this a little bit. So we have liver energy that's keeping her up when she should be sleeping. And then we have small intestine when she should be awake, she's crashing. Okay? So those are not working like they need to. Reach your knees for me. Okay. So let's just play with this for y'all to get an example of how this works, okay? I've already given you the whole picture, but basically she's not sleeping like she needs to, and then she's crashing during the day. And the time periods just happen to be opposite each other. And the way the Chinese clock works is when something's stronger, the opposite is weakest, okay? So what happens is the liver should be a downtime, but it's an uptime for her. So instead of being yin, like going in and sleeping, it wakes her up because it becomes too active. And during the day, small intestine, which just happens to be opposite time period. Sometimes it's not always opposite. Sometimes it's almost like an astrology where there's a trine or a conjunct or this is an opposition in Chinese, in astrology language. But small intestine is too yin, and it crashes her during the day. But here's my thing. That's going to go back to a mental emotional pattern, which is then a digestive pattern that is causing the problem. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So let's play with this a little bit. If we have liver pushes toxins out of the body, small intestine is about deciding what you absorb and discerning. I'm going to eat this, I'll take this in, I'll have this experience, I won't have that. Okay? So give me some examples of what might be the issue there. If liver's pushing out toxins and small intestine's about absorbing what you need, what might make those two not work together? Because basically that's what's happening. Is the liver and the small intestine are no longer friends. Why are they no longer friends? Why are they no longer flowing in the now?
They're not working
They're restricting.
together.
They're restricting themselves. They're resisting something.
They don't want to face what's toxic.
That could be one example.
They're still in the middle of being toxic, so around something being toxic, or maybe removed from.
Indecision about
Right.
what not to filter, or what to filter
Okay, and what to...
in your life.
Okay.
Yeah.
With small intestine, though, it'd be not filtering, it'd be what's the small
Well, that's the
intestine?
What to
indecision
throw
part.
away and what to keep.
I know,
That's
but
the
the liver is the filter, the small intestine is what?
The
It
deciding.
absorbs.
Absorbs.
So
So I'm just trying to get what Marcia said. And so if choosing what to filter or not, the small intestine is choosing what to take in or not, what to absorb. Okay.
well, I know a little bit about her, so I know that she has had to digest and take in and absorb and constantly be around the way that she's being talked to, treated,
Right.
From in sleep, out of sleep, house, work, or wherever. She doesn't really get a break from how she's being talked to or being around, constantly being around this person's energy.
Right. Yeah.
So I think that's what her body was
Totally.
reacting to.
Exactly.
Because I was just telling her when I was little, my mom would try to tell me lies and keep me angry about my dad. And I was so taking all that in that I would literally be sick at my stomach and burp up gas that would smell like an egg, like a rotten egg.
See, and when in that case, with her it's like stomach and gallbladder instead of small intestine, because stomach is when you start pushing things out. So basically, her mom was telling her this, and it was making her. It's disgusting me, right? This was disgusting her, making her upset. Is stomach upset, right? So we use all this language. So her was this anger that she was having to hear this, and then her body was literally reflecting what her mind was wanting to do, which was just vomit it up. I don't want to hear this. So yeah. So in
is
Katie,
that like the same thing?
kind of. So let's just try to make the picture a little more direct. If liver is about anger, and if she gets it at night, that means that there's too much irritation, irritability, anger, resentment in the system. Does that make sense? Okay. So tying that into the small intestine, what might that relate to? Stephanie's really close to it. Very similar in some ways.
Well, my what relate to?
the small intestine and the liver. The small intestine is about absorbing something, the liver is about pushing out the toxins. I'm just trying to get you to see the two, why they're not connecting together. Liver's saying one thing, and the small intestine is saying another.
Well, the small intestine, I don't want this. Like, it doesn't want to absorb it.
You have it backwards. The liver's saying, I don't want this. The liver's the pushing
anger.
thing. Right, the anger.
The anger.
All right, when you get angry, it's this. That's what anger's about. And ultimately, the ultimate anger is a big push, which is what we call a punch, right?
So the liver's
So
keeping her
then-
awake.
Okay, you're right, right. But let's go back to one more second. So the liver is trying to push something away, okay? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
If the liver's pushing the toxins, whatever the toxins may be,
Or
out,
trying to.
Right.
Right.
and then the small intestine doing its job is basically being forced to take in those toxins, so it's just a constant cycle in
Exactly.
the system.
Right, exactly. So what are you going to say, Beth?
I don't.
Sorry.
So what I was saying in the beginning is, which is what she's saying is, then if this all starts mentally, then she's not acknowledging what truly is toxic.
Yes, exactly. Okay? So the small intestine is having to then what?
Absorb the toxins.
Exactly.
Take on the crap.
Right.
And
So
the liver wakes her up going, excuse me,
Well, this irritation hasn't gone anywhere because it hasn't rectified itself because she's still eating the same.
because it keeps going.
She's still eating the same toxins, whether it's a physical toxin, a mental or emotional toxin, period. Does that make sense? You see the picture now?
Yes, yes.
Why this pattern is here?
Yes.
What, but the
Because
pattern,
it's manifested itself physically from the mental.
exactly.
And
The
she
mental thing is anger at a situation that she does not want to absorb, but she's doing it anyway. So the small intestine is about discernment. You say yes for yourself or you say fuck no. She is not discerning properly, which is small intestine, which allows her to keep eating bullshit toxins. Does that make sense?
And she crashes in the day because the small intestine is on overload trying to do its job in the livers in a sense.
Kind of. It's
That's
fried-
my
it's fried for
question.
sure.
Then why is she energy depleted during this time of day when her small intestine is doing whatever
Well,
it's
partly
doing?
what Donna said is that it's working too much on something that it shouldn't be working on at all. It should not have a non-issue. So basically, her mind, she's getting more and more angry, which is making the issue with the liver. So when she sleeps, when the time period goes into that 1 and 3 a.m., she gets woken up because there's a disturbance happening.
Right.
Okay? This disturbance shows up as being awake. And so when we small intestine, she has another disturbance. That disturbance is just labeled low energy. Okay? So basically, these two energies are flip-flopped. So instead of her relaxing her liver and by saying no or doing what she needs to, which comes from the small discerning for yourself, then she's got these two things fighting with one. They're no longer friends.
And what?
And the liver has a duct coming from it. So does the gallbladder. So does the pancreas. Then they come into one duct called the common bile duct, and that goes right into the small intestine. So there's an issue there. They're not connecting anymore because her mind is saying, I don't want to keep eating this shit, and is getting angry and angrier and angrier, but she's sabotaging herself by not saying no. Does that make sense? She's doing it to herself. And then the struggle in her mind shows up in the struggle with the two organs. Does that make sense? Okay? That's how all of our shit happens. So her struggle here manifests as a struggle here.
So it's just manifestation then?
Yeah, that's all this.
Okay.
That's all this is a manifestation, right? The physical is manifested of her mind saying, I'm angry because I'm in this environment and taking in this stuff that I no longer want. It's toxic to me. I don't like it. But she's still saying yes to it.
Forcing it in.
She still says yes to it, which makes it just come on in. Does that make sense?
Is allowing it.
Okay. Do you see how that whole correlation happens? Okay. So where might we kind of start to play with this?
Finding
Her
out.
main complaint is sleeping. Go ahead, Jim. What were you going to say?
Oh, I was finding out exactly what the toxins are,
Okay, we could do that.
like recognition.
Okay. I'm sure she already knows what the
Okay.
toxins are in this case. Or sometimes people aren't. Most people in this group kind of know. I think she knows. Or do you know what the toxins are?
I do.
Okay. So she does. So that'd be one thing that we do, though, if somebody didn't know, is find out what they are. But the sleeping is our main. Would you call the sleeping more the issue, or the crashing, or both?
The sleeping is just, lack of sleeping is a symptom.
Yeah, the symptom
I mean, it's a
of
symptom
weird.
of the other.
Yeah, what we just described.
Right.
Right.
Are you asking
So it-
Katie what's more problematic?
Yeah,
Is
I'm
that
asking
true?
Katie.
I would say the non-sleeping. You know, 10 o'clock-ish, I'm going down, my alarm goes off at 4:50 every single morning. So when I'm up from 1 to 3, I really don't have a problem getting up when the alarm goes off. I attributed the 2 to 3 crashing because I've lost 2 hours of sleep in the middle of the
Well, they
night.
correlate to one another for sure, but they're interesting that they're opposite and they're connected in the body, right? One's saying yes and no, and one is like having to deal with all the toxins that you're not saying no to. Okay? So you got both of those irritated, mostly the liver. The liver's the most irritated. It's the one.
So she took herself out of the line of fire, being in the toxic place, literally took herself out of it.
Right.
Then her body starts absorbing a different.
Yeah, but let me ask you this, okay? What would have to happen for that to happen first? What would be the initial thing? This is a good point. What would be the initial
So
thing
she
to
has
happen?
to make that decision to
All right,
say.
first she makes the decision, which relates to what?
Discernment.
The small intestine, right? So as soon as she decides she's got the small intestine going, hey, we're going to act a little bit different. And then she starts saying, yeah, so it starts here, but then it all trickles down. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
As soon as she changes here, then this all starts to change. Just like that slide I put up that I'm trying to still own is, as soon as you change it here completely, then it has to manifest here, which is already doing that. It's already manifesting the screwed up pattern,
And
right?
that completely is where you go with the slide where you're still kind of drawn back.
Right, and we're
You're gonna
all in
have that
process. Like
self-test.
you know, she's in a much further way. She's in a much further. I mean, how to say this? She's in a much more powerful place to say no and doing that in a different kind of way than she ever has before, right? So it's a process. Yeah, it's like so we just want to help that process right
So
now.
it's like she's like kind of in a holding pattern right now.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. She's right now. That picture I showed you, split between the two. Part of her's here, kind of creating from this reality. Yeah, she's in the vagina.
Okay, so
Well, there.
could we have her already creating the future
The
with the
vagina
toxins
monologue
on?
you're playing locally.
So that it's here, so now her body is gonna start reflecting what she's already gonna have in
Exactly,
place.
and that's all the body ever does is reflect that. So we can tap to clear the issues that are keeping her from doing that. But it's her that changes the pattern. Does that make sense? All I'm doing in EMI therapy is trying to get the shit out of the way that makes your brain work like it needs to, so your body can do and your life can do what it wants to do. That'd be a nutshell of what if I had to define myself. I'm trying to remove the crap up here that will just let you flow like you're fucking supposed to. But it's the stuff in childhood we pick up, family, teachers, peers, all that screw it up. So it's removing the pattern that she can say, you know what, this is a toxic environment. She knows it is. She's known for a while. But she's been saying yes to it, 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 because of what?
Is it yes or I have to?
Beliefs or.
But it doesn't matter. It's just,
Self-judgment.
if you have to take it in, you're still fucking taking it in. I don't care if you got a good reason.
Self-judgment, right?
Huh? Yeah,
Self-limiting
perceptions, all
beliefs,
stuff, childhood related, past life, and get into that. You can all kind of play into a factor here. But bottom line, I wanted y'all to see that it's her not wanting to take some stuff in, because she wants to say no. But another part of her that's been programmed says yes. So this conflict of, basically, and this is what duality is about. We talk about being polarized dualistic beings. That's what it is right there. Party is doing this, and the real party is this. And we got to bridge those two to stop the insanity. Because every one of us here, everyone on the planet is schizophrenic, period. You have to really look at it. All of us are schizophrenic. If you struggle with yourself and talk to yourself inside your head, you're schizophrenic, and we all do that. I want to do this, but like, ooh, we're all a little crazy. Katie more than us.
I would say my kind of crazy.
Yeah. We have a similar crazy here in this group, or you want to be in the group. So sleeping is the most important issue here. So, but I've been recently just kind of tearing apart things. So sleep, what does that mean? What does it do? What does it mean? Just throw out stuff.
She's not repairing herself. She's not.
Yeah, restore,
Yeah, she's not.
repair, renewal, right? And if she's not doing that, then things start to deteriorate, right?
Sleep is also released. You just
Rejuvenate.
Let's go, yeah. And if the small intestine's about absorbing nutrients, which the nutrients are like the lumber, the bricks, the mortar that keeps building your body, right? If she's got that screwed up because she's saying yes to things that she should be saying no, and the opposite, then she's not absorbing nutrients that she needs, which she's not rebuilding her body, okay? Which can lead to all kinds of other then chain effects after that. Like you're hungry all the time, you're eating crap because your body's telling you you need something, but you can't get it. I don't care how many Twinkies you eat.
I know.
I don't care how many Twinkies you eat, you're not going to get it.
It's not even that. It's not a point of eating shit. It's just a point of like, oh my God, I'm so fucking tired. I need to eat something. I'd probably feel better.
Yeah.
And for 4 weeks, I have been dealing with a complete nauseous stomach. I've been eating ginger pills like they're candy.
Well, see, the ginger, you know, it can cause irritation if you get too much of that. Was it after that, or were you doing that to help with that?
Yeah, I started with the ginger since I threw up for like 2 days straight about 4 weeks ago.
Okay.
And ever since then, I've been periodically sick to my stomach.
That's coincides. I think,
We're going to say, Marcia?
I'm just relating to what she's saying. I'm thinking it was probably the same time frame. And I was just thinking out loud, no big deal.
Okay.
Could I ask how late at night you eat? How late at night?
Oh, I eat supper when I come home, like 5:30.
So you're not eating after?
No.
And she's actually going to bed at a decent time. She's going to bed at, like, quote unquote, right time for Chinese medicine. It's just that once she gets to that particular thing, the irritation finally blows out. And really, it comes down to the physical irritation, but really it's irritation in the mind. She's pissing herself off for not doing what she needs to do.
And I think too, feeling and looking how she wants to complain about, you're like, you didn't know where this extra weight came from. And you eat the same, you exercise every morning, and you do all these wonderful things you're supposed to do to love yourself, yet you still don't look like what you're supposed to. So I think she's...
Yeah. So, if one of the things is that she needs to do is say no to something that's toxic, you know, she may be doing all this stuff that's right for her, but the one thing that's the most important right thing, she's not doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Which
I'm
is-
saying that's why she's so...
Which is
The emotion.
Saying no to the toxins that she's been saying yes to.
eating a shit sandwich.
Exactly. This is good.
I'm hungry.
So it almost seemed like a scale too.
Go ahead, Jim.
Like a scale of doubt, perhaps.
Go ahead.
So you kind of you know what the issue is, you know what the toxins is, but if like doubt is like at 51%, and then you know the realization 49, well, you're not tipping the scales.
Right, exactly.
But then when you start flipping it, the more you believe and let go of the doubt, the faster it's going to manifest.
Totally,
So-
yeah. And that doubt is tied into all the misperceptions of
Right.
this is what you should do in a relationship, and this is what a good spiritual person is about. I personally believe that all beliefs, all concepts are crap, all of them, because they all have some built-in limitations to it. And the body is always going to be wanting to get stuck around things, because we're always moving. Every day we wake up, there's a new opportunity to get stuck on something, right? The only way we're going to be able to live life and be the most healthy we can be and flowing with everything is being in the moment right now. If we're slightly in the past or slightly in the future, worrying about something that happened yesterday or what's happening later, we're out of it. So I think the whole goal is to live in a meditative mindset. You know, that's why we practice meditation. Eventually becomes your daily or your moment-to-moment realization. Not like, okay, I'm going to meditate an hour today and that will fit my quota. No, you're supposed to be meditating 24/7. And all that means is you're conscious in the moment.
Yeah,
If somebody pisses you off, see, this is what happens. Let's say somebody pisses you off and you stuff it. You may have never even thought that whole process through. But if you're conscious, you're like, ooh, I'm getting angry. And then you're like, okay, what am I doing with the emotion? You catch. It's only awareness that catches what you're doing with the pattern, right? It's only awareness that does that. That's why Buddha came into reality before Jesus came into reality. Buddha's about the awareness. Jesus about the physical manifestation change, embodying that, right? But you got to have the awareness first, because if you're not aware of it, there's no way in hell you can say, I want to change that. You know, we'll have things that pop up like having this irritation at night is trying to get her attention, right? It's trying to say, hey, do you like this? Do do you like this?
When you
Really?
wake up in the middle of the night, your mind goes all sorts of places that it shouldn't.
Yeah, which makes it even worse. So,
Irritation.
so we got sleep being rejuvenating, probably the number one thing there. It's a form of nurturing yourself also. So, and you mentioned our environment's always got some kind of distracting thing. And sleeping is like one of the one reprieves we can have, right? It's like I can turn out everything. But now she can't even turn out completely because now her environment bleeds into her sleep.
Well, it's funny that, he was saying doubt, because I feel like the toxic that she's having to has been trying to make that doubt a lot.
Yeah.
And huge and just like all over, boundary crossing,
Okay, but now let's even play with it a little bit deeper. Let's say that, okay, she's got a toxin. So now we have her inability to say no, small intestine, to a toxin, liver, which means she's getting all this toxin in, her liver's overworking, her small intestine is absorbing shit it doesn't need to be absorbing, and she's not absorbing other things that she needs. That's the picture, physical picture, right? If we step back from the mental emotional level and the communal level, that is a toxic thing out there I'm having to take in. Okay? But there's one other level we can go to. I already talked about that. It's what the level is at. The level of self. So now let's bring it all just to her. Like imagine she's in a jar and there's nothing really happening. Okay, this is sci-fi. But imagine her brain's in a jar and there's nothing really that she's ever really interacting with. So let's say it's all a mind trip. What would this translate further into the mind trip? What would the mind trip be? It's a hard jump to go with.
Is she still in a holding pattern from childhood? Is this something that she's still...
If we're taking it back to the brain in the jar, all that doesn't relate. Childhood, nothing. It's just, what would be the mental pattern that would create this?
The flow within her own brain, just to...
Imagine this, okay, what I'm trying to do is imagine that there is no such thing as reality out here. And basically, I'm just consciousness. And my consciousness, whatever I'm thinking, creates my reality. Right. I mean, literally, moment to moment. What would be the consciousness in my mind to make toxins out there that I can not say no to? What would be a thought that would relate to that? That would create that and manifest that?
Well, I've been getting.
I'm not worthy.
I deserve that.
I'm not worthy.
Something like that's close, yeah. Or not close, but yeah, that could work. Go on.
Maybe I'm powerless over the toxins.
Yeah, I'm powerless. So I'm powerless, what else? Did somebody say?
I deserve.
I don't, or what?
I deserve this.
I deserve this.
What I'm getting.
Difficulty, this
Okay.
punishment.
I deserve this trash. What else?
I'm supposed to.
Yeah.
Who said
That's-
that?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
I feel
As soon as you said that, I was thinking that.
trapped in obligation.
I'm supposed to put up with this.
Yeah. I'm obligated.
It's like,
So brain and jar
I do.
are your beliefs?
Right.
huh?
So the brain and the jar are just your beliefs?
Right. And
Period.
Yeah.
Nothing else. You just got a brain in a jar, doesn't know anybody, doesn't know shit.
Right.
All it knows is what it believes. Then.
Yeah.
Is that basically
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
And imagine if reality is all that is. I mean, just imagine.
Oh, yeah, that's
I
what
play
we
mind
call
trips
it.
like it's more, but imagine, I'm taking it to an extreme here, just to make a point, but all my reality, I've just dreamed, okay? Which actually kind of goes back to some New Age stuff if you take it all away. Indians even say that, okay? So basically, I'm consciousness somewhere, and whatever I think, whatever I experience in my mind is what's creating reality. So if it's just her, and we take away everything that's outside there and bring it back to her, then she has some thought here that is making that then project out, if it's not going the other way around. In other words, if reality isn't here and then coming towards me, it's the other way around, then where does all of our shit originate from?
From within.
It's only
your brain.
That's only right.
From the brain in the jar.
That's freaky,
From the brain in
right?
the jar. I just had a very similar conversation with a friend of mine in Utah just a couple of weeks ago. She's like, well,
with the jar.
I was raised that I'm supposed to take care of my family and blast. I just said bullshit. I said, you gotta dump the martyr syndrome. I said, because martyrs don't get famous till they're dead anyway.